Hi, my name is Elizabeth.
I'm Gabby.
I'm Robbie.
I'm Cynthia.
I'm Adrian, and we will be discussing contraceptive and reproductive right laws. We will discuss key players in the movement of contraceptive. We'll also discuss federal and state law, and we'll also share a couple stories with you in regards to their experiences, patients' experiences. Contraceptive and birth control has had a history of negativity throughout history. The Comstock Act, passed in 1873, prohibited advertisement information to be passed about birth control. It also prohibited birth control to be distributed and through mail, and mail postal services were able to confiscate such items. Margaret Sanger. We can't talk about birth control without talking about Margaret Sanger. She was a key player in legalizing birth control. She was an advocate and worked as a nurse and a midwife in New York in the East Side in the early 20th century. She fought for birth control rights, and she noticed through her patients that they did not want to have any more children due to the fact that they could not support them. And because of this, she handed out pamphlets that discussed preventing pregnancy along with sexual health, known as the Woman Rebel. And then in 1916, she opened her first birth control clinic. However, a year later, she was arrested for being a nuisance and was submitted for 30 days in jail. Once she was released, she was back in and out of jail, but because of her efforts, she was able to raise $150,000 to the research of birth control pills, which was later approved on May 9th of 1960. It was the first oral contraceptives and led the way to sexual era. And because of the way.
The Affordable Care Act has allowed access to many women by allowing their insurances to provide coverage for FDA-approved contraceptives and methods with no out-of-pocket costs. Since 2014, many states have passed laws that allow ACA to apply contraceptive coverage to insurances and their employer plans. According to a study by the Kaiser Family Foundation, it was found that many women were not able to access contraceptives without paying out-of-pocket costs. So let's talk about what those FDA contraceptives are. Barrier methods, hormonal methods, implanted devices, emergency contraceptives, sterilization procedures, and patient education and counseling. There have been states that are expanding their access to contraceptives. For example, 26 states require health insurances to cover FDA-approved contraceptives. 5 states require coverage of methods when receiving their over-the-counter prescriptions. The unfortunate part is that there are 21 states that allow certain employers and health insurances to refuse coverage for contraceptives. There are states such as Arizona, Arkansas, California, and other states that have health insurances plans that provide coverage for methods of contraceptives, but it does not include emergency contraceptives. Also, religious employers are not required to comply with this policy. Some nonprofit organizations, like religious hospitals and institutions, have the right to object to contraceptive coverages. If your healthcare plan is under an employer like this, you will have to have a separate payment for services that you choose to have. If you choose to use contraceptives, you will need a third-party administrator to access methods without a copay. According to a survey by the Kaiser Family Foundation, most women in the United States receive health insurance coverage through private plans. 85% of large corporations cover prescription contraceptives plans. The federal law requires insurances to cover the contraceptives for their federal employees.
So, reproductive rights are the rights of individuals to decide whether to reproduce and have reproductive health. This may include an individual's right to plan a family, terminate a pregnancy, use contraceptives, learn about sex education in public schools, and also gain the reproductive health services. Today, the subject of reproductive rights continues to be an emotionally and politically charged issue. So, the U.S. Constitution does not directly mention a right to reproduce, but however, the Supreme Court has recognized it as a personal right that is deemed fundamental and which extends to contraception, family relationships, and childbearing. However, a person's right to privacy is expressed in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The question whether men have reproductive rights is a highly debatable topic in the U.S. While reproductive rights have been legally recognized as a woman's right, especially in matters involving abortion, adoption, and procreation, men's reproductive rights have been less certain and looked down upon. While women, including those under 18, are entitled to reproductive rights decisions concerning their reproductive health, including abortion, state laws such as parental notification and consent requirements have restricted their reproductive rights and placed burdens on abortion access. As such, many professional organizations concerned with minors' health rights have opposed those laws. On the other hand, pro-choice and advocates argue that abortion falls within a person's constitutional right to privacy, believing the choice to terminate an unborn fetus lies within the individual and her doctor. So, what do young people think about abortion? Well, 31% believe that abortion is always a bad thing. 76% believe women should see an ultrasound of their baby before making a decision. 44% are pro-life and believe abortion is not okay, while 44% are pro-abortion and believe abortion is okay.
Contraceptives have impacted the lives of many around the world. They are both positive and negative beliefs which have shaped how people perceive this idea of women having the right to become pregnant or not, and whether women have the equality of reproductive rights. Some benefits of using contraceptives include long-term method of birth control, which can be very effective against pregnancy for women who do not want to have children. Condoms are also a method of contraceptives helping fight against sexually transmitted diseases. Despite there being many benefits, there are also cons. Some birth control methods do not protect against STDs. Some can cause side effects such as depression, nervousness, hair loss, and weight gain, and can be used by women with certain medical conditions and by women who use certain medications. So why does it matter? Women and girls around the world, especially those living in poverty, face restricted or no access to information and services about their reproductive health and rights. Some of the barriers to sexual and reproductive health and rights include discrimination, stigma, laws and policies, and entrenched traditions, not only on individual but on families, communities, and national economies. According to the New York Times, Supreme Court rejects contraceptive mandate for some corporations, requiring family-owned corporations to pay for insurance coverage for contraception under the Affordable Care Act violated a federal law protecting religious freedom. In addition, Justice Samuel Alito Jr., writing for the end of majority, emphasized the ruling scope. He states that the court ruled only that federal religious freedom law applied to closely held for-profit corporations run on religious principles.
In 2013, Texas legislature passed HB 2 law, which caused loss of clinicals. It restricts healthcare providers to provide abortion service. For example, doctors who provide abortion service must attend a meeting privilege at local hospital no further than 30 miles away. In 2014, a group of plaintiffs for Clean the Whole Woman's Health suit, bringing a facial challenge to the admitting privilege provision. On the 27th of June 2016, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a historic decision striking down the Texas law. The decision in Whole Woman's Health versus Hollister reaffirms a woman's constitutional right to access legal abortion and will empower women to fight back against anti-choice law in Texas and beyond. People in some countries are still fighting for contraception and reproductive rights. For example, Uganda's abortion law punishes women and girls who choose to end a pregnancy and criminalizes the health workers who offer the legal post-abortion care. In Ireland, a 31-year-old Indian woman who was 17 weeks pregnant entered a hospital in pain and in the middle of a miscarriage. The doctor refused to perform abortion for her because the fetal heartbeat was present. Days later, she died of blood poisoning. If abortion was performed, the doctor would have saved her life. Over the years, women have been fighting for their reproductive rights. We don't give a judgment on whether abortion is a right or wrong decision. It's a choice of freedom and a human right.